Hello, students. It's very nice day today, and I have for you a very special guest. And this guest is Preeti Reddy. She's the chairman or the chairperson of Kantar, which is one of the global leaders in market research and is a great agency, part of the WPP group. And she has spent a lot of years in the world of market research. Kantar was earlier IMRB, or Indian Market Research Bureau, as it used to be known earlier. Now it's been a part of Kantar, and she's been very much a part of the market research movement in the country, and she's a mover and a shaker in that. So, Preeti,
Hi, Anita, and hello, everybody. Great to have this opportunity to talk to you.
Wow. We're talking to the first year students who are, in their summer project, they take decisions which way to go, marketing, research, non-research, consulting, so many dilemmas they are facing. So I just wanted you to share your story, with them. You have spent your entire career in the field of market research, generating consumer insight. What was it that attracted you to research and why? And what is market research all about?
Yeah. So, and thank you. That's a really great question because I've spent close to, as you said, 40 years in some way working with consumers and brands. And what attracted me to I came to it through serendipity, really. I mean, I started in software. I was a software. I used to be called a junior software engineer in what was then Tata Burroughs, and I hated it. I mean, I realized that I actually prefer humans over machines. So I was looking for a career that allowed me to actually try and understand what makes people tick. Why do they do what they do? Why do they buy brands that they buy? Why do they reject brands? Or, that's how it started. And that is what got me to it, and that is what has kept me interested and engaged in the profession all these years. There's a lot going for it. One is the sheer diversity of the work that you do, because you're, in terms of the clients, in terms of their business problems, in terms of their marketing problems, there's a huge diversity. I mean, one day you can be talking about, should I be launching a Nimbu drink? The other day you can be talking about, you can be asked, how do I get retailers to prefer me as a company? The third day it can be, how do I attract college students to my company? So it's a really diverse set of problems, and it's about solving marketing and business problems using consumer data, consumer insights, and over time also using experience. Also, what kept me engaged with this profession is the quality of people that you deal with, both on the client side and with the people you work with. So you're really always have to be top of your game, because they're really great people that you work with. So market research, what it's all about, it's now called consumer insights. It's also now called human understanding, because it's not really any longer only about consumers. It's about humans and what they do, because brands are only one part of what you and I are involved with. There's a whole cultural context. There is a whole socio-economic environment that influences our behavior. So it's much wider now. And essentially, it's a systematic search for information to help you provide business solutions, particularly in the marketing arena. What has happened is that when we started, it was all about primary research. You would do a survey and find this out. Now there are multiple sources of data that you put together to answer those questions. And we can talk about that, as how research is evolving, how insights behavior is evolving. But really, that's what has kept me very, very involved and engaged in this profession.
So what are the kinds of market research that get done today? And, particularly in terms of client segments and industry segments?
Okay, so traditionally it has always been the FMCG companies. They are the ones who actually we started, the industry started because they needed to stay connected with their consumers, and it was the multinationals and large Indian companies who were the regular buyers of research. But over time and now, we also do work. There's a lot of work we do for BFSI. We do work for media. We do work for e-commerce. We are doing a lot of work for fintech, for edutech. So actually now everybody wants to connect with their consumers, and FFCG still stays the largest in terms of the sheer spend levels, but there's the diversity of clients has increased even further now. So that's what startups are doing research, for instance. So it's what happens is many of the startups, their marketing heads come from large FMCG companies, and I mean, it's in their DNA that I have to know this, I have to know what the consumer is feeling, what the consumer is saying. So they bring that with them into the bring that discipline with them into the startup. So that's the kind of client segments. It's actually everybody.
Wonderful, because it's very heartening to know that even startups are,
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
this market research and understanding consumer insights. Because typically one feels that, the startups are very casual or very intuitive or very unprofessional. But it's heartening to know that evidence-based, research-based decision
yes,
making and professionalism is even seeping into those levels.
absolutely,
So what kind of questions do they seek answers to? Typically, I mean, across segments, what are some of them?
Typically the answers are, how is my brand performing? It's very brand. I think about 60 to 70% of the work that we do is related to brands. And then there are a new product. How will this product do? Or why is my communication not working? Why are people rejecting me and stuff like that? So that's in the traditional brand and communication area. But what we are seeing now, especially post the pandemic, is clients are doing far more fundamental research in terms of understanding what drives consumer attitudes and consumer behavior. Because one thing that the pandemic, the 2 years or 3 years has done is actually, there's been almost like a paradigm shift in the way consumers behave, think. I mean, it's an epiphany of sorts for most of us, and that includes consumers. So, the old playbooks they're finding do no longer apply. So they're rediscovering, rewriting those playbooks in terms of how to connect with their consumers and what to say to them, what are their consumer needs. So we're doing a lot of what I call fundamental intrinsic understanding of consumer behavior, which is very, very interesting.
At a deeper level.
At a deeper level. Yeah.
Great, because you're really getting to the core of the issues.
Absolutely.
Understanding what the consumer really needs and
Absolutely.
what the experience of the consumer is like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
And
wonderful.
the other thing that has become very, again, I think it's related to the pandemic, but it's heightened because of it. I mean, we always talked about it, was consumer and the environment, and consumer and purpose and value and environment. So that entire spectrum of doing good. So are brands doing good? Consumers are making choices on the basis of that. What does that brand stand for? What does that company stand for? And which is very, very heartening again.
And companies that do work for the environment and climate control and all the companies that are conscious of the environment
Exactly.
values, those are finding more consumers because
Absolutely.
people will not buy products from a company that doesn't
Yeah.
have the
They,
environment.
I mean, it is a factor in their choice. Their consumers will not yet pay a premium for that, but they will choose one or the other. When push comes to shove, they will choose one if they think that the brand stands for something more than just, the functional benefit that it offers.
That's amazing. That's a wonderful trend to keep track of. So,
Mm.
is there more demand for qualitative or quantitative? No, Kantar does both.
Both, yeah, we do both. We are actually qualitative has traditionally been about 20 to 25% of the total revenues the industry generates, essentially because quantitative research is large scale and covers many, it's just the scale is higher, but they're both important. And increasingly, actually, what's happening is that as you move towards more tech enabled research and more when I say startups, for instance, startups already have a lot of data, they already have a lot of behavior data, etc. And to be able to understand the underlying motives of that data, you need qualitative research. So qualitative research is becoming even more important than it was. But I mean, they're both equally important. It's just that in terms of sheer revenue, quantitative is much larger.
So, just revenue wise, but the
Yeah.
importance in the decision making of the client is
Is equal. They do different things really. So, one is about measurement, etc. The other one is about understanding what is behind those behaviors.
So would it be right to say that the quantitative throws up a lot of data and it gives you ideas that where you need to validate with a qualitative study?
Where you need to actually not validate as much as you need to get a deeper understanding of why a certain behavior is happening or whatever.
So, Preeti, since you're leading one of the global organizations, you have achieved world-class research, and in India, you've got a huge, clientele and that you service. So there's good quality research being done in India too, and it's a growing market. What are some of the protocols of world-class research? How do you say, that you're doing a research?
Yeah. So there is a global organization called ISOMAR, which which lays down the guidelines and the protocols and not governs as much, they lay down the protocols and you have to follow them. So India follows those. India also has a market research society that makes sure that, that the quality of the data you're collecting, the way you collect it, and the legalities and the protocols that you follow are met. I have to say that in India, market research in India is one of the oldest industries, in the sense that globally, India has always been, is a mature research industry, and it's also a very highly respected research industry, the country, because you go anywhere in the world and you find good researchers, there's very high likelihood that they are Indian and have come from India. And we have intrinsic analytic skills and an intrinsic comfort with numbers or whatever, plus English language skills. So India's research industry is actually very cutting edge and quite. It's not, it leads the way in many ways. Yeah.
What about small independent researchers? I mean, do they also follow this ISOMAR protocol?
They're expected to follow.
Is there any kind of an audit or like an ISO standard kind of thing
And you have to be part of the market research society, and you have to be familiar with so clients clients insist actually that, clients will do work, especially large clients will do work with agencies that follow those protocols.
Okay. And is there any particular guideline on the ethical considerations, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong in.
So we have a zero tolerance kind of thing on on say data fudging or data whatever, if you when you will immediately lose your job. And what we I mean, if you're a large agency and you are your reputation is dependent on the quality of the data and the quality of insight you provide. It's too No large agency will ever risk uh, unethical behavior in that sense. And and also remember that clients take decisions worth crores of rupees based on what you are giving them, and that responsibility lies with us, because it's the research is not a perfect science. It's not market research. I mean, it's not physics. It's market research, and
Oh, absolute. It's what I call
yeah, and so
probabilistic.
therefore, the person doing the research has to, one is of course experience built over time, etc. But the agency delivering it has to ensure that that all the guidelines, the frameworks, the protocols are followed, so that you can put your money where your mouth is in that sense. Otherwise, you are playing on client confidence. And and I have to say, most large agencies, especially Kantar, our clients, our top 10 clients have been with us for 40 years, and so we're doing something right.
So, what is the future of market research given the emergence of big data, data analytics? Everyone's talking about that today. And how have things changed, and how do you see it going in the future?
So the future is very bright, because uh, data analytics, big data, etc., is what it does is it just makes the grunt work of market research easier. I mean, what is it that we finally deliver to client? It's not reams and reams of tables. It is, what does that data mean, and what should you do with that, basis that basis all the information that we've got. What do we advise you to do with your brand or product or service or whatever? So what is happening is that there is, like I said earlier, there was really essentially primary survey data. Now there are so many sources of data. The client's own data, there's behavioral data, social media is throwing data at you whether you want it or not. They're offering opinions, etc., and that's an important source now of consumer behavior and attitudes. So what we are becoming increasingly are curators of that, and curators and then interpreters, which we always were, of what that all means.
Okay.
So, like, bring it on, because otherwise, you will get, clients will get overwhelmed by all that data. So data analytics, big data, etc., are more tools to help you deliver that to clients. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm quite intrigued with the curator word, that the researcher is also a curator. He can look at what's relevant and what's not relevant,
Not
and what's
relevant.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
mass of data that he gets.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
today we are talking to young first year MBA students, and by the summer project they will be making up some career decisions. And by the time they graduate a year from now, there will be still more decisions to be made.
Right.
So, what is the career path for a young MBA graduate who might want to make a career in market research?
Yeah.
When you go to recruit talent on campus, what kind of qualities and competencies do you look for?
Oh. So in a research agency, typically there are 3 or 4 departments. One is what we call client servicing, who are the ones who interact with clients, who design the study, who design the questioning methods, that and say what is the data to be collected and how is it to be collected, and that is given to a data collection wing of ours, which does that. And then that data goes to analysis that does the tabulation and all of that. So that's a third wing. And then there's admin, finance, etc. So typically MBAs we take as in the client servicing role. And when you join, there's a year or two you learn the ropes, because I mean, though in an MBA you do learn. I think there are courses and all, but we all know that that's not enough, because the actual doing of research is very different. So you can learn the theory of research, but a year or two is needed to learn the practical way of doing research. And then you can become like a team leader. You can and then you move up. You have more teams, more people. But more importantly, you are then allocated clients. You're given. You can specialize in a domain. You can say, I will do essentially brand and communication, or I will do customer satisfaction work, or I will do tracking. So, about 6 or 7 years later, you can decide if you want to specialize. There is typically in an analytics analysis, at least we don't take MBAs, but as big data and analytics is growing, that's another career path. If you're highly numerate and very good with numbers, and you need to have software skills, then you can get into the analytics part.
In analytics, you typically take what? Statistics, mathematics graduates, or IT engineers?
Yeah, actually statistics, and you work with a team of developers, software developers, because you build algorithms, you look at that data and see how to make sense of it, etc. So and typically what happens is, at least for large agencies like Kantar, the analytics part of it is doesn't deal directly always with clients. It's through the client servicing people, or we are servicing large markets like the US, UK, etc. from here, which is another career path, because then you're part of a kind of an outsourcing team that works with global clients from here.
So it's been amazing set of insights from you. Typically how research methodology is taught in business schools. To bring this kind of a value addition to that, the way you have, I think we are all very grateful for that. And on behalf of the director, the students, the dean, and me, and everybody else involved in this, we'd like to give you a really heartfelt thank you. And
thank you, Anita. Thank you for having me. I mean, I'm always glad to talk about a profession that I've been at for the last 40 years. And I would just say that if you're anybody who has a problem solving orientation, who's interested in human beings, this is the profession for them.
You have to be interested in human beings first.
Yeah, you have to be interested in why people do what they do.
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, Anita. Thank you.